Right now I've just got my canvas set up. I've got a nice thin even coat of this Bob Ross liquid white all over my canvas. I just scrubbed it in really good so that it's in all the pores, and just touch it and I can see the fibers of the canvas on my gloves when I touch it in various places. And that's what you want. You want just a little bit, not a lot. And let's see. The colors I'm going to use today, I've got some titanium white, lamp black, Prussian blue, alizarin crimson. I know I made a mess there. I've got a little bit of phthalo blue, dioxazine purple from the Gamblin set, burnt sienna, and Van Dyke brown. So I use a combination of either, right now I use the Gamblin 1980 series or the Winsor Newtons. And I do have some Bob Ross colors that I use occasionally when I can. So those are the colors I'm going to use today. I had a little bit of oil going down down the palette. Clean that up so it doesn't make a mess. Oops. And I'm making a mess already. I'm going to start, and I'm going to go into a little bit of this alizarin crimson. And I just want a little bit on the brush. Just how it's real transparent right there. And I just tap in the brush in there a little bit. I don't want a lot of color on the brush. But I want to add some pink up here in the sky. And that's very pink. But as I work that in, it'll get a little lighter and a little lighter. So let's just get, right now I'm just getting some color on the canvas. And down this way, I'm going to take a little bit of that purple. And I'm going to put that purple right in there. Just kind of put it in there. This always rocks the canvas back and forth quite a bit, so just kind of adding that in. And then down here, I'm going to add in more of that pink and purple. I'm not even cleaning my brush off. I'm just I want it to just go a little bit from purple to pink and back to pink down here. So, all right. I'm going to leave it at that right now, and I am going to just start blending that out. I want to just make this kind of an all-over color today. So just blending out all the brush marks. It's all right if we have some uneven colors and variations, because that'll all make it look like clouds in the sky later. But I'm not gonna see a lot of that cloud or a lot of that sky today. I'm gonna cover it up. So let's just blend this out. Blending, blending, blending. I might need to pick up a little bit more color down here. Yeah, I'm going to pick up a little bit more of that pink color. A little bit more than that. So let's just get that in there. And the more I work this, the harder I push, the more it mixes with that liquid white that's on the canvas now, and it just softens it. So that even that bright, where it was really bright pink up here, now it's kind of that pastel pink. Well, we still got some brighter areas up here. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that purple, and I I want those corners just to darken up with a little bit of that purple. Maybe just a little more. And just like that, kind of make it so there's no, I don't want any harsh lines. I just want this all to be kind of, you know, the pink, the purple fades into the pink, into the purple, into more of it down here. I definitely want more purple in this middle area right here. And I'm going to be adding more anyway. So, and if you don't have the dioxazine purple like I do, you can just mix a little bit of the blue. You know, phthalo blue and alizarin crimson make a really nice purple. If you make it Prussian blue, it'll be a little bit darker. And you can make it lean towards one side or the other, depending on how you want. But right now, I'm just getting some colors up on the canvas. And it doesn't matter too much. Not yet, anyway. I think that's pretty good right there. And, all right. And I think I need to make a darker purple. So I'm going to pull down some of that purple. And I'm going to actually add a little bit of the blue, maybe even add a little more crimson into it too. Because I need to make just some tree-ish outlines back here. Yeah. I just need a kind of an outline. That's actually a little bit more blue than I wanted, but let's add some crimson to that and try to make that a little more purple. Yeah. I just need a dark, just some darkness out here, but I don't necessarily want it that dark. Just, whoa. I want to drag it straight down. I started dragging it down at an angle, and that wasn't going to be anybody's friend. And that is still a little bit more blue, but I think it'll be all right. My bushes, my treetops are kind of getting lost out here. I'll just kind of tap them back in a little bit. Just something like that. And then, yeah. All right, now I'm going to wash the brush. And this is just all kind of background stuff. I'm even going to blend that out just a little bit more. But right after I clean the brush. So I got way too much paint on the brush now. But I'm just going to, almost like doing clouds, I'm going to spin them around a little bit. Just blur them out a little bit. I don't want all that detail. Now I'm making a mess. Look at that. But that's all right. I want it blurred out. But see how I've gone up there? I'm gonna knock the excess paint off in that. And then I'm just gonna come back in here and just side to side a little bit. And that just work that back into the sky. And that'll be fine. Yeah, I like that. And down here, I just want to mix that so I don't have that harsh line right now. All right, now I know a lot of this probably isn't making any sense at the moment, but trust me, Trust the process. All right. Clean my brush. And for those of you for the first time, watching these videos for the first time, I've just got this little bucket, and in the bottom, if I tip it up, you can see, I can't tip it up much, but you can see a screen down in there. And I just rubbed I got odorless paint thinner covering that screen, and I dip my brush down in there, and I can rub it on it, and it gets all the pigment out. And I get as much of it off as I can, but then I got a trash can, just a regular trash can. But down in the bottom, I've got a little drying rack, dish drying rack. I had to bend it to fit it down in there. But then you just rub the bristles right across it, and it gets all that paint thinner out. And then you dab it on a paper towel just to get the last little bit out. So that's how I clean my brushes. And it's very similar to how Bob Ross cleaned them. He had except for he liked to beat it on his easel, and he got redecorate the whole house. So now I'm using my fan brush. I'm going to use a large fan brush. This is a number 6 fan brush, Bob Ross fan brush. And I'm going to take some of that blue and then the purple. I want a dark purple color. So I'm just going to kind of mix it up on the brush, and I can see it's pretty dark here. So just going to wiggle the fan brush like this on both sides, draw it through, and it gives a nice sharp edge to the, let's see if I can get that over there. It gives a nice sharp edge to that fan brush. So I want to do the indication of some tree trunks back here. So right in here somewhere, you can tap them down, you can drag it down. It doesn't really matter. We're just putting in some indications. I'm even going to blur these out so you can't really see them that well. I just need the indication of some trunks, especially right here in the middle. I prefer to tap. I prefer to tap them in. But you need to kind of get them straight. So, nothing has to be perfect. You can have a tree going off like that, and even some branches if you want. Doesn't really matter. All right. Just like that. I just wanted some of those. And I'm going to take after I clean this brush, I'm going to take my 1-inch brush. I'm going to go back to the 1-inch brush. And I'm going to just drag that down. Drag it down and drag it right straight up. I'm not going off to the sides. I just want to blend out those and make them very shadowy, very indistinct. Just like that, right there. I like that. All right, now I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to break out a brush I haven't used in a long time. I'm going to break out the round brush. All right, clean that off. I've got this big round brush. It's just, the bristles are just round. And I like to, when I first get them, I like to really smash them like that. Just smash the bristles right in and it just separates them out. Twist it around. Just be rough with it. Smash them out. And it helps spread those bristles apart. Because now I need to get rid of some of that. All that dark color is right in my way. I'm going to scrape that up. And I want some of this pink color. I want this alizarin crimson in its natural form. And I'm just going to tap those bristles straight into it, just like that. All right. And then I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to tap in this is some trees. Both sides of the road. This eventually it's going to be a road right here. And we're looking down. And the idea is this is going to be some cherry blossoms. So I'm just going to tap in a bunch of stuff. And I'm going to come down into there, down into here a little bit. Let's get a little bit more of that crimson. So, there we go. Now, you can see there's a lot of white still showing through there, and you want that. You don't want to cover up all of this background. You just want to drop in some branches. And I think I'm going to grab a little bit of white, mix it with that, just to lighten that up a little bit. But every time you go in, you want to jam that in. And you can almost see separation in here of how the bristles are separating. And when you tap up in here, you just want them to spread out. So down here in the darker area, it's just easier if you add a little bit of white to it. But just like that. We're going to call that good for now. And I get to clean that brush. Now I probably shouldn't, because I'm going to keep using the variations of the same colors, but we'll get that all cleaned up anyway. So get that all cleaned up. Shake off as much as I can back into my paint thinner bucket. And then beat the devil out of it. And this brush holds a lot of paint thinner. So you really kind of got it smooshed in there pretty good. So all right. Now I'm going to find my liner brush here. It's tucked down in the middle of everything. Oops, I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to make up some color. So how's everybody liking it so far? I see we got a few people in here. Welcome in, welcome in. Where's everybody from? Where I'm at, I can't really see who's here. And I tend to get so engrossed in my painting that I don't see who's here. But I'm going to take Van Dyke Brown and this burnt sienna color, and I'm going to just mix them together. And I'm going to do that. You know what? I'm even going to add some of that purple color. Why not? That'll make it lean towards squirrel. Is that supposed to be NY for New York? I don't want to overly mix that color. But there we go. We got a dark color. And you know, I think I'm going to do this with a fan brush, not the liner just yet. Let's do the fan brush. My little fan brush. Sandy just reached level 13 in my fan club. Beautiful. Well, welcome in. That's great. Yeah, if anybody wants to become a fan club, right up here, you see the little heart up here. If you click on that, and if you're able to, you send me a heart. It costs a penny, and you join the fan club. So right now, I'm going to take my little fan brush, and I'm going to run it through that dark purplish brown color. And back here, somewhere back here, I'm going to, let's say right about here. I'm going to drag down a tree. All right. And then maybe another tree. Going back to reload the fan brush. And as I get closer, I'm going to push a little harder. It makes it a little bit fatter. And how you create depth, one of the things is there's more detail. It's a little darker, but also where the butt lands, where the base of it lands in your painting. So just going to add a few trees in there. And I'm just adding the trunks at the moment. But I'm going to add, you know what, let's add one a little further back. It's a little bit darker than those ones that we had back there. But I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Almost mirroring it, almost like they were planted in a row. Because probably they were, if this is going to be a roadway. So, and I'm going to add more details to the tops of these trees. I got to get where they're located. That one kind of crooked, kind of wiggly, kind of just like that. And you can add some of the larger branches. Oops. All right. Just going to clean up the fan brush. I'm done with the fan brush for now. Now I'm going to go to my liner brush. I'm going to dip it into the paint thinner and right back into that dark. Get a little bit more. And I'm just mixing it in with that dark color I got here. Get that nice and thin. And then I'm going to take the brush and I'm going to twist it as it's in there. And it makes that point nice and sharp. And then you can continue these on. I need a little bit thinner. A thin paint will stick to a thick paint. So where it's thicker up here, where I dab that on, it needs to be a little bit thinner. And then you can just add as many or as few details to these trees as you want. You can Oop, my brush kind of split there. But that's all right. But you want the branches to come up into this leaf canopy that I built up here. So I'm just going to keep adding branches until I don't feel it needs any more. And you can, like I said, when you're doing yours, if you do this, you can do as few or as many as you want. And recently I've made a shop on another platform. I don't want to say what it is, but TikTok kind of frowns on that. But if you go to that other platform that's listed in my links, you can actually buy my paintings. Pretty excited to have that. All right. So let's see. Just like that. And you could do this for days if you wanted to. Just popping in little limbs here and there. Almost forgot to do that one. So, all right. I think that's going to be good for the moment. Let me clean that liner brush up. And then I'm going to come in with a round brush again. And I am going to, a little bit of that dark purple. I'm going to add a little blue to the crimson. I want a little bit more of a purple. Oh. And I'm just going to come, just want some variations of color in here. And to cover up some of those. Go back into just the crimson. And I haven't cleaned off my brush, so it's got some of that darker color still. But just going to add some little darkness to these back. Ooh, that's a little too dark. But that's okay. Just hide some of those lower tree trunks. Just gonna add in some stuff here and there. All right. Clean that brush up. because it's got way too much of that dark paint on it now. And I vastly underestimated how much alizarin crimson I'm using, so I need some more. And like I said before, I'm using Winsor Newton alizarin crimson. All right. My local art store has that in stock, so it makes it really easy for me to pick up. Now, before I do much of anything else, I'm going to take the bottoms of these trees, and I'm just kind of blur them out a little bit. Just dragging them into the center or off to the side. It makes almost like a little shadow. But here in a little bit, I'm actually going to make some reflections. I probably should have done that already, but that's okay. So I want to lay in some colors. I got to finish doing the trees before I think about that. Right now, I'm going to dip my brush, my big round brush, into some liquid white. I'm going to put it up here, and I'm going to go into a little bit of that alizarin crimson. I deposited most of it off to the side here, just so I can dip into it a little bit more if I need to. And I can take a little bit of that white. I want a brighter pink. And I want it to be thin, so I'm using that liquid white. And again, just gonna smoosh that brush in there. Just tap it really hard. All right. And come back here and there. And it's gonna add in these highlights. A little bit of a lighter pink. And it's really going to pop where it's had some of the darker color. But I hit up there and you can barely see it. So but you don't want to cover up all of the dark. So just think about your individual branches, where they are. What was that? A celebration? Yeah. All right, I'm going to beat off the pink. I'm not going to bother to clean it. I'm just going to go straight into some white. In the liquid white. Pick up some of the white, bring it over to that liquid white pile. And again, tap it. And now I'm going to add some white to those branches. So just like that. Almost just got a very light, I mean, it's mostly white. I think I like that right there. All right. Now I'm going to clean that big round brush. Now I'm going to be done with that. That all nice and cleaned up. So what was the celebration for? I missed it. Oh, nice. Got our rose, was it a rose gold? Nice. Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate all that. Now, I'm going to take some of that white on my 1-inch brush. The white, even though it's got some pink into it. And I'm going to pick up some of the darker purple. Whoops, no, not the brown. And I want a purple color. Well, I can go right into the purple, can't I? And I'm just gonna make some little bushes over here and there. Just some darker colors right around the bases of the trees. Oh yeah, I like it with that little bit more. A little more of the alizarin crimson in there makes that pop better. So let's do the same thing over here. All right. Those are just some bushes. Just some bushes. And then I'm going to go into a little bit of that white and the liquid white mixture right there. Just going to draw down that. And I'm going to make some of those bushes pop a little bit. Almost like some of those cherry blossoms have fallen off that tree and just kind of landed on them. Kind of like that. All right. Not a lot there, but clean that brush off. And then I want a little bit more of a purplish color in there. So I'm going to take that dioxazine purple and I'm just going to kind of scrub it in a little bit. Just something like that. And I'm just gonna kind of blend it down so you don't see those brush strokes. I like the variations in color. All right, I'm gonna beat the excess paint off of that, and then I'm gonna take a little bit of that color off the edge and drag it in. And I'm kind of at a downward angle, so it makes it look like it's, this is like a divot almost. Don't want to take too much of your detail away, but just like that. All right. But we need a little bit of a darker color in order to add some light to it. All right. Let me clean that up. All right, beat the devil out of it. All right, now I'm going to go into a fan brush with a little bit of that liquid white into that pinkish color. And I'm just going to get some pink in there. And then up in here, I'm just going to scrub in a little bit of that. Get some pinker overtones in there. And there, it looks like I made a mess. But just kind of blend that off a little bit. Because then I can come in with a little bit more of that purplish color. Oops, I messed that up. I tried thinning that down with some paint thinner and I got it way too thin. That didn't work. I'm just trying to build some layers in this walkway. So all right. I don't know why my easel is so wobbly today. All right. Now I'm going to go over here into this dark brown color that I used before. And I'm going to make some approximations of a couple of these trees. All right. I clean that off. I don't need all that dark paint on there. And I'm going to drag them down, just down, straight down, just to soften them up a little bit. And then I'm going to very lightly back and forth across it. And it almost looks like that roadway might be, well, let's drag that down. Let's drag it all down. And just like that, it looks like it's wet. All right. Now I want some white. Some white that hasn't been tainted by the pink. So I'm going to take some white. I'm going to put a little bit of that titanium white with it. And I'm going to tap in a few of these areas. And we're going to see how this looks. Back there further, I want less and less. Oops. Where's my 2-inch brush? Oh, that's, there we go. Drag that down a little bit and I got it up into my bushes. Yeah, I need a little bit more of that up in there, I think. And it doesn't look like reflections there, does it? So like that, it kind of does. All right.